Oh boy, this is good stuff from Fulham. We're gonna do a live this morning, maybe for quite a bit of time, because I really want to talk about Fulham. Obviously, with the Christmas period and so many games, I think I haven't done a live since post Spurs, and after the Palace game, we I was off to Edinburgh the next day, and then we played Burnley, and I was still in Manchester. Then we played Newcastle. I was still in Newcastle the next day. Then we played Forest, which was like a Monday night, and I just wanted to take a bit of time off before Christmas. And then obviously Boxing Day. Yesterday I was just too hungover. So let's jump on a live now. It feels like a good time to start the live streams again because obviously the January transfer window is just around the corner, and I will be live. Hopefully, like once every few days, depending on what's going on. I think there's going to be a lot of Fulham stuff which is going to hit in January. Lots of good stuff. I think I'm hearing good things about everything, so I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to touching on all of that in this stream, so we can talk about off the pitch stuff. We can talk about on the pitch stuff because Fulham have won 3 games in a row. The mood is so good in the fan base, in my household, in my own head. Just feeling really good. Feeling really good at the moment, and it's a good way to end what has been a really good year for Fulham. Some challenges in there, some difficult times, some disappointing results, but we're ending the year with 3 wins in a row in the Premier League, and I think that is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic stuff. So I understand it's a Monday. I don't even know if people are back at work yet. Is it still that sort of weird period between Christmas and New Year where you don't really know what time or day it is or what planet you're on, basically? But I thought I'd go live today, power up the live streams a bit more, get into that sort of that January mood, because I think the January transfer window is going to be very active for Fulham. I think it's going to be a very busy window for Fulham, for Marco Silva, and I think we're in for a really fun month and beyond because Fulham have picked up enough points for me, in my opinion, that we'll see them 13 points above the relegation zone. I think we start looking upwards as opposed to looking over our shoulders now. If we beat Palace on New Year's Day, we could we'll move into 29 points, which could see us in and around the European places. Suddenly, everyone's sort of talking about passports again. When after those 4, fair enough, absolutely. Fulham lose 4 games in a row in the Premier League. People saying Europe's off. We're going to be in a relegation battle. 100% was the feeling around the fan base. Look at what has changed now. And I think the Newcastle defeat in the League Cup, as disappointing as it was at that moment, I got over it very, very quickly because I knew that the Premier League was more important. And we've still got the FA Cup as well, where we host Middlesbrough on January 10th. Welcome along to the stream. Welcome. Good day from sunny Melbourne. Jack Stroudley out in Australia. Good to see you on the stream. Happy holidays. Hope you had a great Christmas. Yes, hope everyone had a great Christmas. Good morning from Lakeland, Florida. I will, of course, be plugging Patreon as well across the streams as well, because we didn't, I know it's the time of year where people are trying to save and stuff, but it's a really good time to be on Patreon because I think lots of good things are going to happen in the next few weeks for Fulham. Just my hunch. I think good things are going to happen, and I think that the best place to stay across it all is by subscribing to Patreon. Just a £5 a month. I'm not going to change the price. And I think, I haven't plugged it as much as I should have done this season. But obviously, after that incredible deadline day stream, which we could do again, we might do again. It probably will do again. That was an incredible day for Patreon, and it's helped me out a lot. But I want to obviously keep pushing on, and hopefully getting in some more people, because I know that the community over there is fantastic. Everyone's really enjoying the content. We're seeing a lot of more people stick around as well, which is fantastic to see in the last few months as well, which has been good to see, obviously in the last month or so. So yeah, I'll plug that in and around the stream. But let's get on to let's obviously we want to go off the comments. So first of all, we'll go off. First of all, let's talk about the West Ham game, and then we'll get on to comments because there aren't a ton of people here already. So yeah, there's obviously some pressing questions about the January transfer window. And yeah, let's talk about West Ham, a game that was almost like destined for 0-0. I think that West Ham had really good chances. They didn't take them. And when you don't start a striker, you need goals in this league to stay up. You don't start a striker. It didn't start Callum Wilson. Bowen, by the way, without Bowen, West Ham would be utterly screwed. I mean, Paquetá seems disinterested at times. He seems like he floats in and out of games. Fernandez is a good player, but didn't make the impact that you would have wanted. Um, and then obviously, Bowen basically carried that team for most of the game. He probably should have scored himself. He definitely should have scored in the second half. Did Fulham get away with one? No, not really. I think we defended pretty well. Um, and Bowen's a nippy player. He likes to get in between the spaces. He likes to move from the right into the centre. And that's where his chances basically came from. Fulham scored a brilliant goal off a mistake, of course, by Scarles. But you've got to take the chances. And what a ball by Wilson. He has no time to react. Puts the ball across, just like the one for Calvin Bassey. And Jimenez nods home for what was a brilliant, brilliant header. Great moment. And that's probably one of my favourite moments of the season so far, because in a game which I was just convinced is going to end goalless, and we go, clean sheet away from home, that's a decent result. But to turn those 2 points, that 1 point into 3, and make it 3 wins in a row, 3 away wins in a row, after not winning an away game in the first half of the season before Spurs, was fantastic. I mean, genuinely, genuinely brilliant. We'll talk about Kevin. We'll talk about everything. I think I want to be here for a long time, because I think there's so much to talk about, and I think it's a good time to have a conversation. I put out a few tweets last night, just sort of what was on my mind about where I'm at with Fulham, or where I think Fulham people's heads are at with Fulham. Just so much positivity, and I just want to keep that going. What I'll do is actually just give me. I should have done this before stream, but I've just come off finishing. We just finished recording a Fulhamish podcast, which will be out later today, I think. So I'm riding sort of a crest of a wave of Fulham positivity at the moment. And I think that I knew I was going to stream today. I decided last night to go on stream, but off the back of that Fulhamish podcast, where you're sort of already talking about good things, it's always good to sort of keep it going. I'm just going to put the Patreon link in the YouTube. I'm going to pin it in YouTube, the chat. So if anyone wants to subscribe to Patreon, they can. I don't know if I can do it on Twitter. No, I can't. Oh, well. It's in the bio if you would like to subscribe. And I would love it if people were to get on board for the new year, because it's going to be a big year on Patreon for 2026. Let's talk Fulham, West Ham. So just sort of round it off. Let's talk about Kevin. I think that's interesting. Josh King came on and did really well on the left-hand side. I still think there's a player in Kevin. He just needs a goal. He just needs something to boost his confidence. He won the penalty against Forest. Obviously, it was a foul by Douglas Luiz, which might have boosted his confidence a little bit. But yeah, it wasn't the greatest performance from Kevin. Lost the ball a lot of the time, didn't make an impact. It does help when you've got someone like Robertson on your left-hand side as an overlapping run. But it feels as if he just needs a goal. And if he comes out, I don't suspect that Josh King starts on the left-hand side anytime soon, because I think Kevin will get a run in the team because he needs a run. When you haven't got a Wobie, when you haven't got Chukwueze, Kevin's putting in poor performances, and then you take him out the team when he's basically the only natural left-sided winger you've got in the team. That doesn't do wonders for his confidence. I think he still plays. I think he still starts, and hopefully, with the more minutes in the feet, in the legs, that goal, that assist will come, because he's got the talent. I could see him cutting. I mean, the performance against Leeds when he cut in on that left foot, and was it right foot? Cut on the right foot, didn't he? Yeah. Yeah. I think he's as FFC Perry. Kevin is clearly very talented, also very young. Looks like he's trying too hard sometimes. Maybe he should go back to basics. He's looking like he's playing with pressure of being that silky Brazilian. Yeah, I mean, less of the flicks and the tricks and more of the just take the ball down and play it sort of approach would be good. He's on a 5-year deal, and you compare it to Smith Rowe, you compare it to Muniz. When these players first joined the club, let's start with Muniz, because it was like, well, who is this guy? And now look, Muniz is like our number one striker. He's the number 9 at Fulham. Smith Rowe came for a big fee, had an okay season last season. It was good, wasn't brilliant. But now we're starting to see more from Smith Rowe. Maybe not against West Ham as such, but the games before that, we were seeing some really good things from Smith Rowe, and I think he can kick on from there. And it's good that Smith Rowe's got competition in King, who was really, really, really obviously impressed this season as well. I think Fulham are in a really good place. I really think Fulham are in a really good place right now, and that's, you know, that's without five players. That's without Cess. That's without Muniz. That's without Chukwueze, Iwobi, and Bassi. And these players have come in their place. Jorge Cuenca, Lukic, much better. Not perfect, but much better. Sander Berger stepping up. Kevin, okay, we've just spoke about Kevin, but Harry Wilson right now is carrying Fulham on that right hand side. Nigeria have gone through in AFCON. They won't be home for a while. I don't suspect they'll be home until almost late Jan. So, you know, there's a lot of heavy lifting that the guys have got to do from there. A lot of games. I mean, this isn't even a massively busy period for Fulham. It's actually, January 1st Palace, January 4th Liverpool, January 7th them lot. So, I mean, that's going to be the real test for Fulham against big quality opposition in those two teams. They're not perfect. I think Fulham can get results from those games. We beat Liverpool last season at home. I think the comparison to Pele from Kenny and the high expectations because he's our record signing hasn't helped. He has something, and we just have to be patient, even if it's for a couple of months, even if it's for a season. For me, I think Kevin will get a goal at some point this season. I think he will get the assist at some point this season. But a 5-year contract offers that leeway of patience for a player who is 22, coming from the Ukrainian league, never playing in the Premier League before, but with the culture of what fans are like these days, they want results now. They want results. They want output now. They want goals, assists immediately. Sometimes it's not as simple as that. Sometimes it takes time to adapt, like we've seen with Muniz, like we've seen with Smith Rowe. But when it does come good, you always get that feeling of satisfaction of the patience that the manager has shown in a player, that a fan base has shown in a player, perhaps. But yeah, patience wears thin within football fans these days, and that's not just a Fulham thing. That's every single club, and two things can be true at once. Like I can be frustrated, you can be frustrated with Kevin's performances, but also think, oh, you know what, next season he might come good. There is no doubt in my mind that he comes good. He is very talented, very good. He just needs a bit more time. And yeah, that's what I would take on Kevin. There are a lot of questions about January. Oh God, in fact, YouTube is blowing up. Not quite blowing up, but lots of comments on YouTube. What can you tell us about the January window? I could tell you that Fulham are going to be active, or at least try and be active. I think what we're going to see is maybe from day one of Jan 1st on Thursday, rumours are going to start flying in. There is some talk about Raheem Sterling. There is talk about Adama Traore, so like 1 in, 1 out. But I haven't heard too much about Sterling. There hasn't been too much noise. You'd imagine, because he's not playing for them at the moment, because he's in that so-called bomb squad, you would imagine that rumours would pick up pretty quickly about Raheem Sterling, because if he's on his way to another club, the amount of press and coverage that player has had in his career, you'd imagine there'd be noise already. There hasn't been. I'm expecting Fulham to look for Pepe is a rumor that's coming back up again. I think it's basically, as much as Raul deserves so much credit, right? I was tweeting about this the other day. He deserves so much credit for the work he's put in over the last, basically all season. You're going to have to prepare for the future because he's 34, right? So you have to think long term. To have two sort of younger strikers in the team, in Rodrigo Muniz and someone else, I think that planning ahead, like a player like Pepe, makes a lot of sense. I also wouldn't be surprised if Fulham went back in for Tyreek George as well. I think that we need to sort the situation of Harry Wilson sooner rather than later. We need to know where he's at, and I think that Fulham is probably the best place for him to be. Leeds fans will say, well, he could come to Leeds. And I say, well, your status in the Premier League isn't quite guaranteed yet. Not saying that Fulham's basically is, but we're in a much better position than Leeds right now, which is good. And I think that as a team who are looking to push on, I think Silva's staying. I do think he's staying. I'm very, very confident. I think Silva signs the new contract. I'm very confident of that. I think that's security that Harry Wilson might be like, oh, actually, then I think Marco Silva signing a new contract, and whether when that's announced, I'm not sure, but I think it's very much on the cards. Um, that could maybe start a domino effect of players like Harry Wilson committing, and then players who we've been trying to sign or we're looking to sign might commit themselves as well, knowing that there's a manager there who's committed to signing a new deal. I feel like good things are going to happen. I'm hearing good stuff. So yeah, what can I tell you about the January window? I think it's going to be probably Fulham wanting to do business early. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen because of difficulty of the window, and I think that I think we will make signings. I think we'll sign. I think we'll sign two. We might sign three. We definitely need a midfielder for sure. That's obviously high up on the priority list. Hey, he's been linked, in the summer. There could be a recycle of rumours that have happened from the summer, like Hackney, like Pepe, like George, who resurface in January, like Sterling, maybe. Um, we'll see. So we'll see. It's interesting. I think Fulham will sign players. Whether they get them in early enough we'll have to see. Afternoon from a freezing Spain. That's not good to hear. To be fair, it's pretty cold here as well in grey London. Happy Christmas. We are fourth in the form guide. Last 5 wins from 7 is actually incredible. Good clean sheet record. Just a good time to be a Fulham fan. It really is. You compare it to the beginning of the month. When I was in Edinburgh, we just come off the back of a really poor defeat to Palace in terms of the way we lost it. And now look at us. We're level on points with Palace. We've got a chance to leapfrog them on New Year's Day. West Ham was a painful watch. We play too slow in the passing. Around the back is scary. Berg on the edge of the box nearly got shut down 3 or 4 times. Why do we play that way? It's just the philosophy. It's high risk, high reward. And that very game caught us out last season in those exact same ways. I did think a couple of times in the first half, especially, that was going to happen again. I understand the frustration, but once you get out and beat that press, then you can fly. And I don't think that we're going to change the way we play. There's just no way that we change that philosophy. So unfortunately, you're going to have to sort of keep watching that sort of stuff. And when it comes off, it's brilliant. And it's very rare that Fulham make mistakes in those areas. And obviously, it did cost us when we went to West Ham last season. Good work as always, Jack. Kevin is going to get there. He needs a full preseason with Marco. I agree. Up the Fulham, jury's still out on Kevin. He has potential, but I think has too many touches instead of making that cross or pass sooner. And that's what he needs to learn. Like, his end product has just got to be a little bit better. What are you expecting in January, Jack? Will Hughes rumours growing along with Pepe. Haven't seen the Will Hughes rumours, and I would be very surprised if Palace let him go to another Premier League rival. And I don't necessarily think that Hughes, I think we could do much better than Will Hughes, to be fair. I think we need to be, this is what I asked Marco Silva, to be transparent. I asked him this the other day. I said, are you looking to make signings that will benefit Fulham in the long term, or are you going to use the January window as to plug some gaps and make short-term signings to sort of see you through into the summer? And he said, that wasn't the way I asked the question, but it was basically along those lines. And he basically said, as you could see, I posted the quotes on Twitter the other day, but he basically said that the club know, and I know, that we need to be starting to think long term. And that gave me the indication that not only is he thinking long term in terms of his contract situation, the club is as well. And I think that if they're all in unison, plus the good noises about a new contract, then I think that we're in for some good news. So that would be fantastic, and it would just set the club up to keep flourishing, to be fair. And I think that's if that's the direction we're going in, I think that's the most positive news you could get all season, really. Key positions you think will strengthen? I think we need another player in sort of a wider. That's why Tyreek George for me would make sense. He can play in 3 different positions along the front 3. I think midfield. I was going to say left back, but now we're fine with left back. We've got 2 options. Once Sessegnon is back. So yeah, I wouldn't. It's all midfield and winger and striker sort of areas for me. Sorry, Jack, only just joined. Apologies if you covered this, but Ari left-hand side. Remember, Smith Rowe played well there in pre-season against Al Ittihad, of course, yeah. Is there a case for putting him there, King in 10, Kevin sub? I think it's the other way around. We were just talking about this on Fulhamish, actually, that I think King's cameo off the left against West Ham was very positive. Silva said to me a few weeks ago that he would never end the game with Smith Rowe on the left. So it points to me that King is probably that option if he was to drift into the wide areas. Smith Rowe in the 10, Wilson on the right, or whoever on the right. And then obviously Kevin, if he comes off or Kevin comes on. Yeah, we could see Josh King start in on the left hand side at some point. We could see him start in the 8 at some point. I think the game against Borough would be a good test for King to start in the 8 and to see how he copes with that responsibility. Josh King was excellent against West Ham when he came on. He played left wing. I don't see anything from Kevin. He is a total novice. He is a total novice. Ha ha. I'm willing to be patient with Kevin completely. I like the rumor of Oscar Bob. Yeah, I have heard that rumor. That is, and if they're signing Semenyo, Bob will obviously want to move, and I think that we should definitely be in the conversation there. Gutted we didn't sign Endrick, but if we could get Bob, that would be phenomenal. I really didn't think we were on the radar of Endrick, I think, but it's reported that Palace and us have tabled bids for Bob already. Heard anything regarding Bob? I've heard just what you've heard. I've heard of a couple of bits and bobs. Nothing that's nothing that I can sort of put out or anything like that. But yeah, I think the rumors are going to start ramping up. And I'm keeping obviously with Christmas, it's really, really difficult to sort of keep an eye on things. But in fact, 1 hour ago, in fact, this might be worth tweeting. Just give me a second, guys. This has come out 1 hour ago. Might as well tweet it. This is basically reflecting of. Okay, so Sky Sports have come out and said Fulham are expected to be active with central midfielder, winger, and striker on the list of positions they want to strengthen after a difficult first half of the season. Well, you could say difficult first half of the season, but we've picked up, so I think it's been fairly okay. It goes on to say signing a top number 8 midfielder was a big priority in the summer, missing out on players like Kieran Dewsbury-Hall to Everton, and Alex Iwobi, one of the 3 players losing Fulham lose to Nigeria AFCON, has filled a position there. There's a strong desire to bring a player in of that profile. Samuel Chukwueze is recently impressed, and another that goes out to AFCON, while Adama Traore is in the final year of his contract and dealing with interest from West Ham. So Fulham are exploring winger options ahead of the potential departure. Getting Harry Wilson to sign a contract is also a priority. That's probably worth tweeting as well. That is probably worth tweeting as well. Okay. And anything else at the end? Up front, Fulham have 2 striker options in Raul Jimenez and Rodrigo Jimenez, but Jimenez is recovering from surgery, and the club must plan for the future without Jimenez, given he is now fully forward into the final year of his contract. One striker linked in the summer was Romelu, of course, remember that, before he joined RB Leipzig. So yeah, it's time to really. Christmas is done. I'm done. I'm done with Christmas, and everyone's done. It's time to focus on the transfer window. This is a really important time to have your finger on the pulse. So it really does feel like today. And obviously we played the other day and it was work and stuff, but it feels like today is the first day I'm back to the grind of Fulham stuff, which is great. So looking forward to that immensely. And what a job it is. So let's start live streaming more. Let's start engaging the fan base more. Let's start trying to get nuggets of information because the fans will want to know. So that's my task over the next month, which is very exciting. Let's go back to the comments. Yeah, the Oscar Bob one, I've heard a couple of bits, but not too much regarding that. I think we would be in the conversation for him. When Bassi comes back, does he get straight back in ahead of Cuenca? I don't think so myself. Great problem to have. Absolutely. There's a point we made on the podcast. I think that Bassi does not keep his place, because Cuenca has been absolutely phenomenal. And it just I mean, it'd be good for Batty to have a bit of a rest, obviously after AFCON, to get him back to um, getting refreshed for the league campaign. But we will have to rely on him as well. We could move to a back five. We could rotate heavily in for the cup games as well. And you know, Batty, if we're progressing the FA Cup, Batty could come in for the fourth round, depending on when that is and when they're back. But yeah, Cuenca for me is the starter of Anderson. They complement each other beautifully. In terms of what's really interesting is they bring different skill sets in terms of their passing. Anderson more of a long ranger passer, whereas Cuenca likes to try and break the lines and play 10 passes into the final third against West Ham. You know, whether they're high balls or low balls, that's very, 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 very progressive. Do you think? I'm guessing that's JKA. Do you think JKA will be sent back to Bayern Munich? Depends. Depends on if Fulham can get a striker in, because you know Raul's playing, and he still will play in February. You get a new striker who'll want to be playing. Then Mooney's coming back. JK's fourth choice and won't get. Yeah, the obvious thing would be to send him back. Hello from Hong Kong. Any idea how Marco and the team can get Kevin's confidence back? He looks like a shadow of the guy that came on against Leeds for his debut. Yeah, and the debut was sort of the debut was a bit of a smokescreen a little bit. The expectations were immediately very, very high. And obviously Kearney coming out and saying, I think someone put it in the comments, you know, he was like Pele in training. That's not Kearney's fault for saying that. That's basically his opinion. When he said that at his evening, I was like, wow, that's some quote. Hasn't quite worked. It's adapting to the Premier League, isn't it? You know, Ukrainian league is very different to the Premier League. You're much more physical, much more pace to the games and quality. And I think Kevin has quality. He just needs to get an assist. And that's the thing. I just said it. You don't take him out the team now when Chukwueze and Iwobi are away. Just keep playing him. And it might be frustrating to watch, but if he gets that end product sorted, I'm sure he'll come good, then he's going to be flying. And then he's got Robinson on his left-hand side as well, which really helps overlapping runs. It makes it an easy option to play that pass. And yeah, against Palace, we need to shut down Wharton. Everything goes through him. Absolutely. Palace are in a really precarious position right now where they've got a lot of injuries. Sarr's out for AFCON. Kamada's out. Klein's in for Munoz. Richards will probably be out of the game as well. They're playing Devaney. Mateta obviously still there. It'll be Pino, Devaney, sorry, Mateta, and then sort of working my way backwards to midfield and Wharton Hughes, and then Klein, Mitchell, and then the back three of probably be Lerma. Jefferson Lerma will play centre back with Lacroix and Gay, and then Henderson in goal. Other than Wilson, Traore, and Kenny, are there any other players in the last year of their contract? Jimenez, isn't Jimenez in the last year of his contract? Because he signed the they triggered the option, didn't they, at the back end of last season? So yeah, it's good to be back on the live streams. I am slightly the country that knocks out Scotland at the Euros. Slightly hungry, but we'll have to just push lunch. It's not even lunchtime yet. Are the Pepe rumours true? I think there is interest in Pepe for sure. It's one of those Fulham. Sometimes teams sort of jump from targets to other targets, but Fulham seem to keep a consistent. How do I word this? The same names seem to pop up over multiple transfer windows because Fulham have had their eye on. It's very much in the Tony Khan model of recruitment. There's been players we've signed before which we've been linked with like 1 year ago, or maybe 18 months ago, and we keep tracking them, and then when the time is right, we sign them. So it wouldn't surprise me that we're still in for Pepe. If he's still producing numbers, which he is for PSV, then okay, his transfer value might go up, but it means that he's a consistent performer and therefore he fits the model of what we want. Just see a comment here from the Real O. From your embargo section the other day, Silver sounding more positive about transfers than I've ever heard before. Agreed. Hoping business is done within reasonable time frame. Agreed. I think JK is something, hence why the insistence on a buy option. Agreed. Think we should sign him for the future, have him in the PL2 or loan him out to the Championship. Ooh, interesting. The thing is, though, like if we sign JKA, and he was a signing that Silva just like he didn't. I don't think Silva necessarily wanted him. He was just getting in a striker because we needed one. I just don't see that happening. Yes, he's shown very small flashes of good performances in his how many minutes has he played on the pitch? Not many. I don't think that's enough of a sample size to splash out what is, I think, £12 million on him when you're already on a tight budget and looking at strikers who are probably more prolific at this level. I get the logic of the PL2, but because it's Bayern Munich's player, I just think that maybe it's just one of them ones that's just not going to work out. That's my opinion. It could change. He could come on and score a hat trick against Palace. He could start against Palace. Maybe the opinion changes there. And that's the thing. I made this point on the pod earlier is that there's been a lot of opinion changes this season. It's been such a weird season where Fulham have this is the best period of the season so far for Fulham. We're sitting in the top 10 and we're coming off 3 wins in a row. But we had a period where we lost 4 in a row. We're in a period where we were just above the relegation zone. And, we were looking at a relegation battle, and the feelings were amazing, isn't it? If let's just say Silva signed a contract and it was announced the day after the Newcastle game in the League Cup, there'd be a very different reaction to what it would be if it was announced today or tomorrow or in the next couple of days, because there was feeling, oh, he's got his subs wrong. They didn't make an impact. He's losing games where we're in good positions, blah, 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 blah. And now it's like, well, we're grinding out wins. We're showing a different side to us. We're adapting without the players from AFCON. We're adapting without Cesc. We're adapting without Rodrigo Muniz. And that has completely changed the narrative. And I think if Marco Silva signs a new contract and it gets announced today, tomorrow, and maybe, let's say before Palace, the reaction will be utter happiness, and everyone will be absolutely delighted. Every manager has their weak point, their weak spots, their weak points. But I make the point again and again and again. There is no out of work manager right now who could do a better job than Marco Silva. And you look at the situation with Ollie Glasner and Marco Silva, and they're both in sort of a similar position. They're both out of contract. They're both unhappy with the summer recruitment. But it seems as if Glasner's already made up his mind on his future. There was strong rumours from Fabrizio and from Plettenberg that he wasn't going to sign the new contract, or he's not going to sign the new contract. Whereas with Fulham, you could have easily come out of that window in the summer and gone, yeah, no chance he stays now. He's completely pissed off. But actually, I think he does stay. I think Silva does stay at this stage. I'm confident. Which is amazing. I mean, Glasner could still stay. I mean, that's not really relevant to Fulham's situation, but it's just interesting because there's 2 managers in the same situation, having sort of same experiences with their board. This is okay. Last season was great, but I'm on such a high with Fulham right now, and I think that's why I want to sit down for ages and talk to people about it and have people engage with the stream because yeah, it's just fantastic. Any time frame on Cesc? No. Interesting, because I did think it was when Silva said that he'd done his hamstring. He said it was nothing serious, but yeah, I suppose it's only been a couple of weeks, to be fair, because there's been so many games. It sort of feels like it's been longer. Hopefully, he can be back in the new year for maybe the Chelsea games and the Liverpool games. But luckily, we do have Robinson right now, so it's not a completely pressing issue. But it would be nice. In fact, it probably is a pressing issue because Cesc can also play in those forward areas on the right-hand side, the left-hand side, and that would just gives us another option. It does give us another option. And yeah, looking forward for Muniz to come back as well. Let's see. Against Palace, we need to shut down water. Yeah, we did that one. Other than Wilson, Trier. Oh yeah, we did that one as well. Surely we need to Surely we need to sell or loan out players before we buy. Also, we need to sign Chukwueze permanently ASAP. He is everything Kevin should be. Yeah, Chukwueze. I think I'm confident that we sign Chukwueze on a permanent deal if he continues this form in the second half of the season. It's a good option to have in terms of the fee seems reasonable. He's producing good things. Um, in terms of departures over the window, I mean, you've referred to loaning out players. I can't think of a single player that Fulham should loan out right now in terms of any first team players. We're already short and thin on the ground. We might sell Traore. Probably likely we do. He wasn't involved against. If he's not involved against Palace in terms of he's on the bench and doesn't come on, it could be game state, I suppose. But he wasn't like you could have actually understood if we did bring on Traore against West Ham because we were pushing for a goal, another option, a pacey player who can take on the defense. But we didn't. And then Wilson gets the assist because Wilson is probably the player who makes way. It does point to me that he's going to leave. Does he go to West Ham? It looks likely. Like it looks likely that that could happen. But I don't think we can sanction that until we bring in someone. Do you know what I mean? Because that leaves us even more short. Given us gives us options forward. Seems like we don't have enough. Adama didn't get minutes on Sat, probably because he's probably going to go there. Had nothing in attack. Yeah, exactly. Josh King coming at left wing was good. Absolutely. So yeah, I don't see where. Surely we need to sell or loan out players before we buy. I think. No, I think we need to buy before we sell. Otherwise, we're just going to leave ourselves more exposed in terms of squad depth. Whether we have the leeway to do that, hopefully that is the case. It sounds like we can. It doesn't sound like there's any restrictions. Is a lot of signings dependent on SCR. Oh god, SCR is just etc. Or is Marco given the okay to spend X amount? From my end, I don't think that SCR, whatever it even stands for, has any sort of impact right now. I think that we're in a good place financially. If we weren't, you'd probably be aware of that. I think more people be aware of it. It's hard to believe how close to losing Tete we were. Spoke to some Everton fans who were really disappointed they didn't get him. He had been difficult to replace. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? I do think there's more of a case of Everton was used as a like, sort of like get the contract sorted for them. Sort of it was obviously agent play there. But it's evident now that a few months after that situation, Marcus Silva called him up and was like, "No, you have to stay here. This is so important." And if we'd have lost, I think if we'd have lost Tete, if we'd have lost Wilson, we would not be sat here talking about a new Marcus Silva contract. I think it would just be out of the question, because yeah. So only just joined, so apologise if covered. What's your feelings on Kevin? We have covered Kevin. I feel like he's going to be a huge player for us just in an awkward transition. I think I can take that stance. I think he's going to be a great player for us in the future. I'm sort of pinning my hopes on the fact that we can be patient with him like we were with Muniz and Smith Rowe. And just to sort of sum it up, all he needs is a goal to boost his confidence. And I think we'll see him flourish. So yeah. Yeah, definitely need to keep an eye on this transfer window. It's going to be probably a little bit Michael hectic, I reckon. There's already like a firm feeling from Marco Silva that when the January transfer window ended, he was left a player short, which was a midfielder. So you'd expect when the window opens at midnight on what would be Thursday morning before Palace, I think Fulham will be hard at work. The board will be hard at work. And like it's easy to say like, oh, we're on the same page, like, but we heard that in the summer, etc., etc. The plan is there. We heard it at the back end of last season. The plan is there. It feels a little bit more like there's more on the line here. There's definitely more on the line in this window because, and I think there's more substance to what Marco Silva's saying because, he's going to say, look, I'm out of contract. If you don't give me what I want, I'm off. I'm off. I think that narrative may have changed a little bit, where it's like I'm going to sign, but you have to fulfill your promises, and Fulham will do that as best as they can. There's also an element of risk of that because obviously January is the hardest window. I think there's no guarantee you get all your business done, but if there's signs of intent and if they get what they want, everyone's going to be very happy. And like I said, Marco Silva was basically speaking very long term in terms of signings, and hopefully he is thinking long term at Fulham as well. Like you think of the other clubs that he was linked with. I said this the other day pre West Ham, Nottingham Forest, who are in a relegation battle. Who else? It's Spurs, who sort of in this weird period with Frank where their away form is pretty good, their home form is pretty terrible. I think that Fulham is a great project. I still think it's a great project, and I think it has so much potential with the stadium, with the owners, with the academy. There's so much potential here, and if you've got a manager like Marco Silva in charge, who then commits long term as well for another 2.5 years, 3 years, whatever it is, I just think we're in such a good position from there. I really do. I really, really do. And I think we only get better. And you think of the revenue you get from the Premier League TV money that gets added to the transfer kitty, you become a really established Premier League team. You can attract players like it must refer to the club, players for big fees, and under a manager who's so ambitious and he's so good at what he does. I it's so weird because like a month ago you wouldn't have even questioned this. Like this is like you'd say, oh, we're still looking over our shoulders, but these last three games have changed the out. These last, okay, I don't want to be sensationalist or whatever because that's not my style. These last three results may have changed the fortunes of the club long term. I mean, it really could happen. Like, I think, I think we're in a really good position in the Premier League table now. We can push on. We're in a position where we need to sign players in January, and I think that's going to happen. We're in a position where Marco Silva needs to sign a new contract, and I think that happens. I genuinely like. It's not all results because but the results climb us up the table. That's not a factor into Silva's contract in terms of those individual games, but it just leaves us feeling like we can really push on from here. And you're in a better position in the Premier League. It attracts players who say, "Oh, look, Fulham in the top half of the table." They'll be looking to push on under a really ambitious manager who hopefully commits. So, yeah, I think it stands you in a good stead. Marcus Silva's a great motivator. He'll get on the phone to those players and say, "Look, this is why you should come. This is the system. This is your role within the team." Like he did with Kenny Tete, like he did with TC, like he did with all these players, like hopefully he does with Harry Wilson to get him to sign the new contract as well. I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but it's all to say that I think that everything's moving in the right direction. Um, if we lose to Palace, I don't think it changes too much in terms of the feeling in the fan base, depending on the circumstances, because I think we've had such a good run. If we beat Palace or we draw, I think there's going to be. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a really positive second half of the season. On West Ham, their number 18 looked decent. Fernandez, I think it is. I'd swap him for Adama if he's certainly he's leaving. Look, Fernandez has just joined in the summer for a big fee. We can talk. We could talk a lot about if West Ham go down. There's so much There's so much that many teams will want to take from them because I genuinely think if West Ham go down, and I think a lot of their fans have said this, and they'll know better than I do. It'll be one of those ones where I think they really struggle to come back up. They'll have a lot of assets they need to sell. They've got a stadium that will be far emptier, and a fan base will be far angrier. And a manager, I don't know, or Nuno, I don't know. Nuno's already under pressure, his own pressure, but we won't worry about that just now. Random thought. I love the all-white kit, but seeing us in black and white against West Ham, I didn't realize how much I missed it. Yeah, it's true. I was a massive fan of all-white when it came out. I thought it was a lovely kit. I still think it's a beautiful shirt and nice shorts as well. But it is nice to see it's black and white, doesn't it? We are black and white. So maybe next season that will be the case. Leslie Ukuchukwu has really impressed me at Burnley. Yeah, he's a good player. He scored against us and has done really well. If Burnley went down, which I think is possible, I think it's very, very possible, I would be all over that. I think there'd be a lot of teams all over that, to be fair. How much of a loss will Chukwueze be? Well, I mean, he's a loss on paper, but at the moment, Fulham are doing all right. Obviously, I'd rather have him in the squad than not. But yeah, he's a loss, but we're coping at the moment without him. Comments have dried up a little bit on X, so we'll just stick with YouTube for now. Of course, I understand it's a Monday. Some people are back at work. It's midday. It's not like it's well, I suppose I don't know if people are off or on. It depends what sort of work you do. Did I miss any comments? Did I miss any comments on Twitter? Striker replacement rumours. Yeah, Pepe obviously being one of them. Thoughts on Kevin? We did that. Do you think Esmond Ferrer could play? Oh, do you think Esmond Ferrer could play Iwobi's role to break up the Berger Luca partnership while Afcon is on? I think it's more probably suited to Josh King. I think Smith Rowe is the 10. I know what you mean. It does feel like there's a lot of, this was always going to be an issue. Like, who's going to, and that's why we needed the extra midfielder in the summer. Who is going to sort of come in for Lukic and Berger with no Iwobi. I think Smith Rowe could. I think King could. So there's options there. There's options there. You could even, you could play Josh out on the left, Wilson right. Sorry, Josh out on the 10. Yeah, I mean, I just sort of got, yeah. There's definitely scope for that, but I think it's more likely to see King starting the 8 for me than Smith Rowe. Because Smith Rowe, he said it in the program the other day. Actually, the quotes in the program that the 10 is the position he likes the most, whereas King has had big experience playing 6, 8, and 10, albeit at a lower level in terms of 21s football. Merry Christmas, Jack. Looking forward to your content in 2026 and January transfer window. Absolutely. And you can catch it all on Patreon. I have the link in all my socials, especially on Twitter. £5 a month. Join the crew. And yeah, we might just have a really exciting transfer window as well, and you'll get all that coverage for the window on there, plus all the match day content, press conference content as well. Yeah, just loads of good stuff. It's been a really fun season, actually. I know it's been a bit up and downy, but and the content on Patreon has been a little bit more focused. Last year I was trying to find my feet a little bit and going, oh, let's do this idea, do this idea. It just turns out that you know what fans want, right? And I've got to know my audience a lot better over the last 6 months or so. What they really like is just transfers, don't they? And it's annoying because obviously that only happens twice a year. But then match day content, people really engage with it. When Fulham win, the Patreon completely flies. Everyone's sort of commenting and liking, and on the group chat as well. It's always popping off. When we lose, there's a lot of, like any normal, reaction to a loss. It's a lot more disappointment. But I try and keep a level head. Don't get too up, don't get too down, and that gives a good balance to content. And yeah, so do subscribe. It really is good fun, and I'm going to keep plugging it. And you're probably sick of me hearing it, but probably sick of hearing it from me. But I really do. I mean, it's my career, so I've got to plug it. Jack, only just joined the discussion. If not covered already, which is our best centre half pairing? Joachim Andersen and Bassi, very, very strong, very, very consistent. But I think it's probably a question for when Bassi's back. What's worked best? Because at the moment, Cuenca and Anderson doing very, very well. That's 2 clean sheets in a row for them. Okay, they didn't get the clean sheet against Newcastle, but 2 league clean sheets in a row against them going into the Palace game. Ask me that question when Bassi's back, and then we can make a decision, because we'll see. We're going to be seeing Anderson, Cuenca for the game against Palace, the game against Liverpool, the game against Chelsea, the game against Borough, probably then Leeds. Next 5 games. And then we play Brighton, I believe. I can't even remember. So maybe that one as well. How many transfers do you think we'll do in Jan window? 2 to 3. 2 to 3. If we beat Palace, are we looking at Raul Jimenez last season? Are we looking at Raul Jimenez? Oh, are we looking at Raul Jimenez's last season? Maybe. If we beat Palace, I don't recall winning 4 in a row in the Prem under any manager, but Silva loves to break records. I was thinking about this earlier, actually. That United fan must have a better chance of a haircut if you were a Fulham fan. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Have Fulham won 4 away games? Because we actually won 3 away games on the spin last season as well. Newcastle, Wolves, and Leicester. Not in that order, I don't think. But I don't think we've won 4 away games in a row. I was speaking to Gentleman Jim about this after the game against West Ham, and he said, think of the history of Fulham's away form in the Premier League. Like, we'd usually only win on average 4 a season. So I don't think we've ever won 4 away. That would be a huge record break. for him. Is Adama definitely off now? Tired of seeing him not doing his defensive work and losing the ball. He looks to have no motivation anymore versus before. I think it's quite telling that he didn't come on against West Ham. He has to be involved in the squad because we only have X amount of options. I think, yeah, but the thing is that we have to bring in someone before. I was saying this earlier. We have to bring in someone before that he goes. West Ham could probably benefit from him. Wouldn't I said this on Jack and Joe the other day? Like, it wouldn't surprise me if he went to West Ham and actually did very, very well. Sometimes a player just needs a new environment, new manager. He's worked with Nuno before. Would make sense. If we get priced out on Pepe, the obvious choice has to be George. Half the price and can cover striker and the wings. Absolutely. I just hope the relationship hasn't broken down. With the Tyreek George one, he was like at Mosper Park. He'd done the medical. I think everything was basically ready. And then last minute, we had to pull the plug. And apparently he was very unhappy. His agent obviously very unhappy. So I hope that hasn't damaged the relationship. If that relationship's gone between agent and club, then I don't think we sign him. If there's still like well, actually, we would like to take you, would play a similar price, maybe Chelsea up the fee a little bit because we pissed them about a little bit, but he, I mean, because it's Chelsea, because it's just down the road, it would make so much sense to get that done like that. And like, it's not like he's playing for the first team. It's not like he's going to be playing for the first team anytime soon in terms of league games. He might play in the FA Cup and stuff, but he would benefit. And he's so young as well. I mean, remember when we spoke on deadline day, like we were raving about the signing, saying this is a really intelligent signing, really good potential. And nothing's really changed in those last 4 or 5 months. He's still the same player. I don't know if he's the same age. I can't remember if he's 23 now or not. But yeah, I think he scored against Lincoln in the cup, and I think that's maybe he might have scored in the Scampion Peas. I'm not sure, but I remember did he come on against Fulham in the game we played at the Bridge? But my head was already gone, so I just didn't really pay attention to him too much. But yeah, it would make so much sense. Who does Jack Collins rate as centre forward as a signing? I don't know. You'd have to ask Jack Collins. This is Jack Kelly. Jack has a plethora of knowledge of European football, so I'm sure he's going to call out a striker from the Portuguese league or something like that. I think our fan base is so up and down as we never draw. 3 draws in 2025. It's so true. I think, was it 3 draws in 2025? Obviously not including the cups, which went to pens. So that was Ipswich right at the beginning of the year. And then we didn't draw a game. That's so funny, isn't it? We didn't draw a game until the opening 2 of this season in Brighton and United. And we haven't drawn a game since. And like, obviously the game on Saturday was heading towards a goalless draw. And then it just doesn't end in a draw if we end up winning the game. It's so weird. It's really funny because like you basically either picking up 3 points or 0. So you're either really down or you're really up, which is reflected in this comment. It's such a good point. It's such a good point because that is a win and a loss can be the difference between how you feel about managers, how you feel about players, how you feel about the club. Whereas a draw is like, I would take a point. Or some games where you're like, we should have won that, but we got the point. Or some was like that point feels like a win, blah blah blah. But we haven't had that middle ground at all because it's just been literally wins or losses. So there's been a real drastic pendulum of emotions because of what those 2 outcomes bring to fan bases and to consequences of the table and stuff like that. That's for me is a really interesting point. I might write a piece on that. Samuel P13, you've inspired me. Would you sell Wilson and sign Bob? No, absolutely not. I would keep Harry Wilson right now. As much as I rate Sterling, the lack of football, it would take 6 months for him to get up to match fitness. I won't be upset if we got him, but prefer others over him. Yeah, I think you want someone who's playing football really. Feels a bit Willian, that, doesn't it? I know Willian was great for us, but I just think Sterling, he's had such a miserable time of it. I just don't understand why you'd be insistent of signing someone on that amount of wages as well. I don't think that. I have heard whispers of Sterling, but like I said earlier, there would have been more in the media at this stage if he was that close to joining another Premier League team. You know, Sterling's got a lot of coverage this season by not playing. If someone found out that he was going to start playing for another Premier League team and have a move, you'd imagine that even with 3 days before the end of the year, 3 days before the windows opens, that there's going to be noises there. That's just my opinion. Drew to Southampton at home last year too. That was in December. That wasn't even this year. That was in December. So, and we drew to Bournemouth as well. So there's like 5 draws in the last 13 months or 12 months, whatever. Crazy. Oh no, we drew to Liverpool as well. I'm sure we drew another one to Arsenal. So maybe not. But even so, 3 this year. May have been asked already. What do you think the chance of Pepe and Jan would be? It would take a lot of money, you know, and that's the thing. Like, I think it's important. The thing is, like, the striker situation is, I was going to say, like, not as pressing as the midfield, but also, like, if Raul picks up an injury, Rodrigo doesn't recover in time, like, you're going to be left with 0 options. So we'll, uh, we'll see what happens. I think that if we're really brave and we put big money on the table, we could get it over the line. But I don't know if PSV want to sell. I really don't. I really don't know. May have been asked before. Oh, you did that one. Hello, Jack. This good run has been coming for a long time. We played well in games, but didn't get good results. Agreed. And actually, ironically, now we're not playing well and getting good results. I'd argue. We didn't play brilliantly against Burnley. We still won. Didn't play brilliantly against Forest and still won. Didn't play brilliantly against West Ham and won. Moise Keane, McAtee, and Bob loan would be massive for us to push on. Yeah, I didn't think about the loan option. We haven't used a domestic loan this season, and you got 2. Bob on loan. Maybe George on loan with an option. Would that be more sensible? He wouldn't be able to play against Chelsea, but we would probably already played Chelsea by that time. The time it's done, wouldn't play. I was play against City, Bob, when we play in midweek in February. Yeah, I could be on board with that. I could be on board with using the domestic loans for that, and loan with options on both, not obligations, would give us a sort of an idea of how they can make the impact on the team and whether they could be ready for next season. That's interesting. I think that's an interesting point. In an ideal world, what midfield would you bring in? And in doing so, would you see Reed leave? No, I don't think. I think Reed is needed for options and for backup. He might be unhappy with the lack of football, but I think the FA Cup is still an opportunity for him to play games. He's come on in a couple of games recently as well. Hayden Hackney, for me, sounds like a player that I would like to sign. He's the sort of midfielder I'm thinking of. I love Gabriel Sara at Galatasaray. You know, when he was at Norwich, he was unbelievable. I just don't think that's going to happen. Dare I say Andre? Yao Gomez. I mean, Yao Gomez is probably Wolves. The Wolves situation is interesting because, like, you know, if you think about it, like, all 3 teams who are in relegation zone right now, Burnley, Wolves, and West Ham, have got great assets, individual assets to pick off if they went down. And I think every Premier League team and a few teams in Europe will have a field day. And those 3 teams will make a lot of money in the summer. João Gomez, Andre, maybe Strand Larson. Yeah, there's enough there to sort of make some good money there. But we should definitely be in and around that sort of looking at those players. João Gomez, Andre. I know the Andre thing's a bit funny. It would be very ironic if we ended up signing him. But yeah, that's all I'll say on that one for sure. Last year, Palace started bad but won the FA Cup. Can we do the same? Yeah, I mean, we could. Would love that. I mean, Borough is going to be a tough game for sure. After a real slog of 3 games in 7 days, we got a 3-day break and then we played Borough in the Cup. We shall see. We shall see. Will Middlesbrough take the Cup seriously or will they make loads of changes? You'd have to ask Hegel, what's his name? Hegel something. Whatever the manager's called. You have to ask him. I'd imagine that it's interesting because when when you're like chasing top two in the Championship, the FA Cup just doesn't come a priority. But then Borough have sold out their allocations, so they need to respect it to the point where the fans feel like they're going to get a team that's worthy of putting in a battling performance. You'll have to see. We'll have to see. Really pleased Seth is in the squad. Oh yeah, absolutely. Does he start against Borough? Don't feel like he's going to get ahead of Kenny in the Prem. Yeah, it feels like the only way that Ridgen gets on the pitch in the Prem is if we're in a 2-goal lead or 3-goal lead and seeing the game out, and he's given that sort of experience. I'd like to start him in the Cup. He's very young. Like, King didn't start playing for the first team until he was 17, and now Ridgen's 17. So yeah, maybe, and yeah, Ridgen's great. In fact, I haven't covered the under-21s as much as I did last season because a lot of those fixtures have fallen on days that just didn't work for me, and there's been more away games than home games. It felt like last season we played at home every single week, but we are playing Man United on the 16th of January, the day before we go to Leeds. So I will go to that. I think that's the plan, and then hopefully next year I can cover the under 21s much more because I feel like I've been a little bit off the pace of them. But first team action always takes priority, of course. So yeah, very excited. Another reason you should subscribe to Patreon because it's that is where you get some under 21s action as well, which isn't really seen in the Fulham space very often. Who is your number one target for us to sign in January? Dare I say Harry Wilson, new contract? But yeah, it would have to be a midfielder for me, centre mid. Yves Basuma, not really keen. I don't necessarily like his character. We'll see. Hayden Hackney for me would be good. Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint players, isn't it? George would make some sense. Pepe, I mean, we'll see. Sorry, let's go back onto X. Feel like there could be an early signing in the transfer window. I feel like Adama will be gone very soon. First couple of days, Tariq George will be a great replacement. Yeah, like I say, I feel like we do need to bring in players before we let Adama go, just in case you just leave yourself a little bit more exposed. The game at the bridge was the one where apparently Silva convinced. Oh, the game at the bridge was the one that apparently convinced Silva on George. Oh, you know, yeah, because that. Oh yeah, that came before the window closed, didn't it? Yeah. Does the window open Jan 1st straight away? Yeah, I think so. January 1st, midnight, I believe. And then it's February it's the day after we play United, isn't it? That it closes. Because I've got this predicament where we're playing United at 2:00 on the Sunday, aren't we? 2:00 on Feb 1st, that's it. Deadline day is the Feb 2nd. I don't necessarily want to stay over in Manchester and have deadline day, like half of deadline day on a train trying to get service and signal. That doesn't work. So I'm gonna have to go back the night, I think, on the 1st to then go home because I am planning if Fulham are active and still looking at signings and if they haven't completed their business, which is a huge possibility. I am planning on going live basically all day. Just do it again because why not? It was so fun. It might not be as exciting. It might be less signings, of course, but with Fulham, you just never know, do you? So I think it's definitely worth. We'll have a look for sure. We'll have a look. How are we going to sort out our issues with SCR hanging over us? What is this obsession with SCR? I know it's like obviously it's a factor. If it comes into next season, then we have little to no room to operate, or is that not true? I honestly, I haven't got a Scooby Doo. I really don't know. Like maybe I should be more clued up on this given my position, but I don't know how it works. I don't actually know what it actually even stands for. I think it's something to do with wage to. I can't even remember something to do with the wages or something. But I don't know. I think there's definitely, if there was no wiggle room, I wouldn't be feeling so confident. I wouldn't be feeling as confident as Marcus Silva's giving us confident answers about January, right? I just don't think that this is. I remember it was a big song and dance in the summer. I really just didn't buy into it that much. That it was a big issue. Fulham didn't spend that much in the summer either. I don't know if it's got anything to do with spending. Someone will have to explain it, but I'm not going to sit here and start trying to talk about something I don't know anything about. What I'll say is just that if it is a factor, then it would be more of like you would be more aware of it. There'd be more made of it. There'd be more noise from other people saying that this is what Fulham can and can't do. Maybe we have given ourselves enough leeway this January because we didn't do anything in the summer or didn't do enough in the summer. So I really would love to go through the whole of January without talking about whatever SCR is, but that's not, that's just a common question coming up from the fans. I think that's more than more than understandable to ask. But um, for me, I don't know if there were barriers in place which would prevent us from doing business this window. I think I already know about that. I think that people would already be aware of that. Would Cess be a replacement right wing for Adama? And we have a backup left back, and we buy a backup left back. I think we could probably do that without buying a backup left back and just you know, have him as that versatile squad cost ratio. It affects what you can spend on transfers and wages in relation to our revenue. Yeah, I know it comes into play next year. I just don't know what Fulham's position is with that. Our revenue probably isn't the strongest in the Premier League, but it's probably with the Riverside stand has a additional um there's an additional avenue of revenue. Therefore, probably puts us in a good position because the Riverside is open like 7 days a week, isn't it, for the general public, and that contributes towards clubs' finances as well. So, yeah, CSR does, but the CSR does, but they are allowing teams to break it for the first year or two to adjust. It's weird and complicated. If that's the case, then it's not a pressing issue. If they're implementing a new rule, and I don't know this, I need to read up on it to be fair. If they're implementing a new rule which allowing teams to break it for the first year or two, doesn't sound like a very sustainable model, does it? No, it does not winding me. It winds me up because like someone made the point in the summer that this is like the be all and end all. It sounds very washy to me, wishy washy. I don't think it's going to prevent anything happening, and I don't think it's going to prevent um, things from happening in January, in my opinion. Wow, I'll be going for an hour and 7 minutes. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? Time does fly when you're having fun. And this has been great fun. I might leave it there because I feel like we've touched on everything. All there is to say is that we're in a great position. On the pitch, great position. Off the pitch, we could be in a great position in the coming weeks. I'm going to be live again very, very soon. Obviously the Palace game on the Thursday. I don't expect Fulham will make a signing on January 1st, but there'll be all the fallout from Palace. There probably should be. I should probably stream the day after Palace, given just a general match reaction. We can then make that into another sort of transfer window chat. There might be some rumors to talk about. You just never know. So yeah, do tune in to the content over the next month and beyond. It's been a great time to be a Fulham fan. I will try and stream at more sociable hours as well. What day is it? So it'll be a Friday morning. So the press conference is Wednesday at 1:30. I don't even know when the press conference is for the next game against Liverpool. It must be on the Friday. Maybe it's the day after, so maybe we won't stream. Just a couple of comments from Twitter. An Eagles fan saying, "You'll beat us too. We are shot to pieces without players in Europe." And Louis says, if a difficult first half of the season has us a handful of points off Europe, I'd love to see what they consider good. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that was slightly lazy wording from Sky there. I genuinely think that the last start of the season, I think we're 2 points off what we were at this stage last season. The 18th game, I think we'd just beaten. Oh no, today was the Bournemouth game, wasn't it? So maybe we are. Was that the 19th game? Maybe we're 3 points off. So we must have been 29 after Bournemouth, the 2-2 draw. because we dropped 2 points, didn't we? That was disappointing. So if we win against Palace, we'll be on the same points as we were at this stage last season, which we broke the points tally record and pushed for Europe. So if we can go one better with some new signings, with the players back, then we'll be in a good position. Thank you so much for watching. This has been really, really good fun. I am absolutely starving. Let's go and get some lunch somewhere. And yeah, looking forward to streaming again. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to Patreon. Enjoy it. And come on, Fulham. And for those watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Who do I want to win the darts? Ryan Searle. Take care, guys.